Have you figured out your niche? Are you helping adding value to other people's lives? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira, the Niche Navigator, coming to you live with another episode of Munira's Musings. I'm sorry about that. Was still streaming to my phone as well. But we have a guest all the way from
Tallahassee, Florida.
Tallahassee, Florida. She's in the warm winter. We have flurries in Chicagoland, but it's okay. It's all good. And Carla is a PhD and she works with kids, and I want to know more about what she's doing. And when I met her last week, she just blew me away. So I had to get her on Munira's Musings. We bring this show to you because we want other people who are sitting on their sidelines, figuring out what they need to do next in their life. And if they're just sitting there thinking about it, we ask them by bringing guests on our show and motivating them not to stand on the sidelines, but jump in the cold water with us. So without further ado, Dr. Hutchinson, Carla. Hi, Carla.
Hi.
Welcome to Munira's Musings.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. And again, thanks for having me on. I hope the reception is okay. I'm actually working from home this morning and I live out in the middle of the woods on 35 acres. So reception is sometimes lacking, but I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I am an instructional systems designer. My doctorate degree is from the College of Education at Florida State University. I used to work military research contracts and then made a shift. I became an accidental entrepreneur when my mom handed me her inheritance check and said, start a business. And I said, okay, I've managed things with many more zeros, and I think I can do this. And I learned very quickly that I did not have a knack for business administration, but I've learned along the way that I absolutely adore working with people. Helping children and families live a more fulfilled, productive, happy, peaceful life is really what is my bliss. That's my happy place. So I run a nonprofit organization where we provide after-school enrichment and preschool services to children ages 3 to 13. And most recently, I started working with parents directly. I found out that I was unofficially counseling and supporting the parents in life management skills. So I've written 2 books since COVID started, and I'm in the process of launching a parenting support program. So that's a little bit more about me.
Awesome. So you said accidental entrepreneur. She said start a business. Your mom said start a business. Did you even know what business?
She is a very spiritual person and felt very called. She was a medical and therapeutic foster mom for about 80 children. So my background, she was a stay-at-home mom. My father worked very, very hard to allow my brother and I to have access to the best enrichment programs. So our childhood was really blissful, and I was afforded the opportunity to become a professional ballet dancer very young in my life. I feel like it gave me a great foundation and built sort of core competencies that transferred domains. So while I had an injury and broke my back and stopped dancing, I feel like it set a foundation for long-term success. So my mom realized that children thrive with structure, that they do well with the opportunity to develop grit. And she finds that the performing arts in particular are a wonderful way for children to grow. So she said she wanted me to create a program that was affordable for our community, that it wasn't just a club for rich kids to hang out, but that it was a melting pot of affluent families and also those that a lower income stratus. So that's why we're a nonprofit. And she said, make a arts enriched program for kids that builds lifelong skills. So she was pretty clear about the direction. She didn't necessarily tell me it has to be dance, it has to be karate, it has to be music. So I selfishly created the program that I wanted for my children. They were, my youngest was 3 at the time that we opened. And that was kind of my litmus test as I started building my team. Who do I want my children to be taught by? So that's how we started. It wasn't well planned out. There wasn't a business plan. It wasn't something created to build financial prosperity for me or the family, but it was designed to be of service to our community.
You know, that is so awesome that, you know, but most of the time, the motivation comes because somebody is pushing you. And we tend to procrastinate when we are trying to push ourselves, because that's what happens, right? But if somebody is there mentoring you, pushing you, or making it an ultimatum and saying, you know what, you got to do this, you are going to do this, and there is no ifs and buts about it, then that happens, right? I was with my grandchildren yesterday, and my granddaughter, who is almost 5, wasn't finishing her dinner. So we had to push her, right, to finish her plate. And when she did, she got a reward. And that's what we as adults do, because we're sitting on the sidelines trying to figure out what we're going to do next, right? And I love the fact that even though she gave you an idea, you then had to structure your program as to how you wanted it and who you wanted your kids to be working with and taught by. So I love that idea. So you said you broke your back when you were ballet dancing,
Yeah,
right?
I had a car accident, and it caused a pretty significant change in my career path. So one day I was focused on continuing my career in classical ballet, and the next I was unable to dance and in a back brace. But I actually think it was kind of a blessing, because it allowed me to explore a different side of what is possible in the world. And now I have a family and a business and a team of passionate educators, and I'm really happy with my life. Not that there's anything wrong with people having careers in dance, but it's a different lifestyle where families are not always possible. There's a lot of travel, and it's physically hard on your body. So I see it as the start of, you know, a new career path for me that has led to a lot of wonderful things.
And I love that, right? Because that's that mindset. Most people become paralyzed and say, I'm not going to do this because I can't. This is all I know. You brought up a very good point when you were doing your introduction, where you said that it taught me how to transfer my skills. So let's compare your ballet dancing and what you are doing now, and how you were able to transfer skills. Because, and I asked you to say this because, one, you are a PhD, you know how people think, and 2, most people that listen to the show are paralyzed because they are often wondering what next, and I can't do this. So taking those steps from here and moving them to what you have done, if you can just give us a few pointers, then people can take action.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the question. I love the points that you've already brought up in the short time that we've been together. So I think people are intrinsically lazy. You talked about the importance of accountability, and relying on ourselves alone can oftentimes lead to failures, that then you have one issue that doesn't come to fruition, you start to feel like a failure, and it builds a mindset. And that's the other thing that you talked about, is having a growth mindset. So those are the type of things that I think we develop early on in childhood, and especially when we come in contact with younger children, like you said, your granddaughter, and helping her be accountable for something and then get a reward for accomplishing that. It builds self-esteem. So to me, the things that transfer from one domain to another are mindset and focus and motivation. So in my experience, sports and performing arts help build that grit and determination, and the perception that it is okay to fail as long as you find the learning and turn the curse into a blessing, find the lesson learned and move forward. So we're all going to fail when we're starting to do something. That's how skill acquisition works. We're new to an area, we want to do it, we try. I mean, just look at a baby, right? When they're starting to walk, it's amazing. They'll start crawling and stand up and then quickly tumble down. Well, if the child is in a situation where the parents are fearful and don't allow them to try again, they're never going to learn. But it is when, with safety and support, the child falls and we say, uh-oh, that's okay, let's try it again, keep going, push, push, push. It's that drive, in my mind, that builds long-term success. So it doesn't matter if it is someone like me that grew up in a dance studio. I learned that if I'm falling over, I'm not just going to sit there. I need to pick myself up and figure out, why did I fall? And do it again, do it a little bit differently, until eventually you don't fall. And I think that's the same thing, whether it's in running an organization, in business, whether it's managing a household, whether it's being an employee in an organization. We need to push ourselves out of our comfort zone. And I love what you were talking about, not living your life on the sidelines, figuring out what it is that you really want, and kind of doing a little bit of analysis work. So where are you now? What's working well? Where do you want to be in the future? Where are those areas that you know you could do a little bit better? Can you live your life with excellence? Can you make better food choices so that you feel better? Can you choose to go to bed a little bit earlier so that you can wake up a few minutes earlier and set up a morning routine that sets your mind in a way that you're more productive in the day? To me, that's the stuff that I love, helping people to consider how they can improve. And it's not a huge thing. It really is a compound effect of small incremental differences that over time make a huge, huge difference.
I love that, right? Small routines, changes that you have to do. You can't make anything drastic. I mean, things happen in life where you have to make drastic changes. But if you are bettering yourself, then one little step every single day, taking a new step and trying to figure out and conforming yourself to the hurdles allows you to move forward. You said that you were starting out a program for parents. When is it launching and what does it entail? Or can you talk about it?
Sure. So I've written 2 books. One is Parenting for Success, The Art of Raising Happy, Healthy, Successful Adults. And that is kind of my first tell-all book, because people that I come in contact with see me and they feel that I am successful, and they're like, oh, how did you accomplish everything that you've accomplished? And I'm like, I really learned the hard way. So it's kind of the book that I wrote. It's the dirty secrets. It's like my worst parenting fails, the things that I struggled with, because if I can share that journey and it helps another young parent not make the same mistakes I did, then I feel like I've done something to help our community. So that was the goal of the first book. The second book is called Purposeful Parenting, and I co-authored that with a very near and dear friend of mine, Paige Reinhardt. She's also my program director. And that's Purposeful Parenting. It's more taking a deliberate practice approach to parenting, looking at what leadership research shows, looking at core competencies, skill acquisition, and figuring out like grit that we talked about. That's Angela Duckworth's research, and taking all of that information and distilling it into useful bites that will make sense to the average parent. And I've been told by some people that have read the books that they said it's actually good advice, not just for parents, but it's the idea of leading from the front and being able to look at those around us and help them become a better version of themselves by focusing on us first. Kind of the analogy of if you're flying, put your oxygen mask on before you try to help those around you. So how do we manage self-care routines? How do we live our life to the best of our ability so that we can support those around us?
Okay, so you've written these books, and now you're going to teach parents how to implement the strategies explained
Yes.
in their life. And okay, the question that comes to mind is, without your books, there are people who parenting, right? What are they doing wrong, and what can they learn from your program?
Thank you. That's a great question. It's also kind of a loaded question because we can all do better. So I think the first thing is that, we all heard kids don't come with an instruction manual, even though my mom, as a joke, actually wrote one as, a great little pamphlet when my son was born, but it was more of a comical kind of thing. But I think the first thing that, parents need to recognize is that it's okay, wherever you are is fine. But if you can shift your focus of where you are now and try to figure out what is it that you want for your child when they grow up. So for me, I want my kids to become happy, healthy, successful adults, capable of thriving in our fast-paced modern world, right? Because we live in an era where the pace is so much quicker than it was just a few generations ago. So if I break that down, I need my kids to have the ability to make healthy food choices for themselves. Simple things like instead of trying to do everything and overprotect my children, I'm going to let them fail a little bit. I'm going to let the kids, now that they're older, make a menu plan and blow up the kitchen and, get spaghetti sauce on the ceiling, and then learn that, you can't let the stove boil over and you need to cover things, or you're going to be scrubbing tomato sauce off of the ceiling on a ladder, kind of thing. So I think it's a mindset thing for parents that no matter where you are, you can always do better, but that there are tips and tricks and that you don't have to suffer alone. I think that's kind of the guiding principle, is that we're in this together. And if we can build a community of support and a community of accountability, together we can help each other be better. So the book goes into details, and there's a process, and people can certainly do this on their own. It's nothing new. I've just kind of combined from a psychology background, from an instructional systems design, human performance, and skill acquisition, all of these areas, pretty simple and easy to follow program that can better support parents in their everyday tasks. The big thing, I think, is also balancing and recognizing that we are humans ourselves and that we need self-care, and we can't always devote ourselves 100% to those around us. Again, the oxygen mask situation. But the goal of the program is to help people get traction? Can somebody read the books and follow the steps and function and benefit from it? Absolutely. That's why I wrote the book. But can they do better with a community of support and, a little bit more guidance? Definitely. So it is, again, the program that I wish I would have had when I was a younger parent.
Accountability, you mentioned that, and that is always one thing that we do better with, because if somebody's looking over your shoulder, you get better and you stop procrastinating, right? And then everything else comes in later, because the first thing is, I can't do this alone, and then the paralysis sets in. There's so many good points. So if you will share your links to the books after we're done, that would be awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
And Dr. Carla, where can people find you?
Email is great. You can find me at mail, MAIL, at carlahutchinson.com. And I'd be happy to give away some books if people are interested. I have a little supply that I'd love to get rid of before the holidays. So just send me an email, mail at carlahutchinson.com. And I would love to connect with anybody that is interested in what I'm offering to see if I can better support them, especially around these times of the holidays where stress tends to build and we're all overbooked and slightly stressed.
It's so amazing that you mentioned what you mentioned, but I'll tell people who are listening that, you know what, it doesn't matter if it's a business or a child, it's your baby. And if you want to take it further, you just have to take that first step. One, change your mindset and say, I'm not only standing on the sidelines, I'm going to jump in. I know in Chicagoland, every year you have a few people in December, they jump into the Lake Michigan and they just go swimming. It's cold out there, and people who do it just they invigorate themselves in such a way. And you hear the stories of people who, some of them have been doing it for decades, and some people are just doing it just anew. And I don't know if it's a charity or whatever, but it's something that they do. And when I see those people, I haven't ever done it, but when I see those people, I envy the fact that they have the courage to do that. I don't. But if you start a business, or if you're thinking of changing your career, or if you're thinking of having a baby, if you will, or you have children and you want to figure out how they can change their mindset and how you can be an effective parent, some of these books, even though are targeted towards parents, can still help us change that mindset. So if you're still on the sidelines, go ahead, take the first plunge. If you're not going to jump in, at least put your foot in and see if you can deal with it, right? Because I know you will. And Tony Robbins has a shower or swims in 45-degree water every day. And I don't know how he does it, but that's the thing that he does. And he says it invigorates him. But you have the power to take the plunge. So go ahead and take it. And mail at Carla
Hutchinson.com.
Hutchinson.com. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead and take that first step. And she's got books. Go get them. You never know how it is going to change your life, right? And if you like this show, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe, because we have a guest every week that's going to come and share their secrets to success. Now, nobody was born successful. Everybody had to walk there and make it happen. And we all have the tools and the strategies. We just need an accountability partner. So reach out to either one of us or anybody and say, this is what I want to do. Will you hold me accountable? It can be your brother, your friend, your coworker, who has to ask you every day, what did you do today? And how did you feel about it? And once you start, that confidence will build up. So thank you so much, Dr. Hutchinson, for being here. I appreciate you very much. And for those of you listening, if you would like to be a guest, please be on our show. Come, let me know, and let's see what you got and how you can share your experiences with our listeners one. And two, if you can share this link to your platforms and let other people know that it's not always about standing on the sidelines, it's about taking the plunge. So let's meet again next week and see if we have another guest with their advice. And you'd like, share, and subscribe to our channel, it would be awesome. Thank you. Have a wonderful week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi. If you enjoyed our show, please share and subscribe to this channel. And for more content, please join our Facebook group.